tiny bit about Srila Narottama Thakur. Today is his appearance day. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantika Katachana Smite Yasmin Duskaram Sukaram Bhavet Vismite Viparitam Shat Shri Chaitanya Namamitam. So today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 16, which is the Kaliya pastime, beginning with text 41 all the way to 44. So, Uttamatrendriya prana mano bhuda ashayatmane trigune bhyabimanena gudha swatma anubhutaye namonantaya shukshmaya kutashtaya vipaschite nana vadana rodhaya vachaka shaktaye. Translation: Obeisances unto you, who are the ultimate soul of the physical elements, of the basis of perception, of the senses. So he's the soul of the physical elements. He's the soul of the subtle basis of perception, of the senses, of the vital air of life, and of the mind, intelligence, and consciousness. By your arrangement, the infinitesimal spirit, souls, falsely identify with the three modes of material nature, and their perception of their true own self thus becomes clouded. We offer our obeisances unto you, the unlimited Supreme Lord, the Supreme Subtle One, the omniscient personality of Godhead, who are always fixed in unchanging transcendence, who sanctions the opposing views of different philosophies, and who are the power upholding expressed ideas and the words that express them. And we'll continue on to the next verse and we'll come back. Nama pramana mulaya kavaye shashta yonaye pravitaya nivritaya nigamaya namo namaha. We offer our obeisances again and again to you, who are the basis of all authoritative evidence, who are the author and ultimate source of the revealed scriptures, and who have manifested yourself in those Vedic literatures, encouraging sense gratification, as well as in those encouraging renunciation of the material world. Purport: if we did not have the powers of perception, cognition, evidence could not be transmitted. And if we had no tendency to believe in a particular modes of evidence, persuasion could not take place. All these processes, perception, cognition, persuasion, and transmission, take place through the various potencies of the Lord. The Supreme Lord Krishna himself is himself the greatest scholar and intellectual being. He manifests the transcendental scriptures within the hearts of great devotees like Brahma and Narada. And in addition, he incarnates as Veda Vyas, the compiler of all Vedic knowledge. In multifarious ways, the Lord generates a variety of religious scriptures, which gradually bring the conditioned soul through various phases of re-entry into the kingdom of God. Once again, Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuri Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Hare Krishna. So Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Kamastaster Hrita Jnana Prapadyante na Devata Tam Tamimam Ashtaya Prakati Niyatasvaya. So he said, one who's intelligent, Kamastaster Hrita Jnana, their knowledge has been Hrita. Like we have this Chita Hari, the thief of the heart, Manohari, one who steals your heart. Like when devotees were chanting Hari, Hari, some of the Mohammedans, they would think, what are they saying? Are they saying steal? Are they saying thief, thief? So, Kamastester Hrita Jnana. So, Lord, He takes away all material suffering. Sometimes He's called, the meaning Hari is there, means He takes away. So, Hari also can mean when something is stolen. So, when the intelligence is stolen by desire, Kamasaste Hitta Jnana Prapadyante Nadevata. The Lord directs that soul who is being choosing to be directed by material desires. He directs them to take shelter unto the various demigods. So Prapadyante, surrender unto the various demigods. Tam tamimam ashtaya prakatiniya swaya. Yo yam yam tunum bhakta shada architam ichiti. So not as He gives them actual shraddha, He gives them faith in these various demigods. But this is because that soul has chosen to take shelter of this kama, of this desire. So yo yam yam tanum bhakta shada architam ichiti tasya tasalam shadham tameva vidyadam yaham. So this is all provided by the Lord. The shraddha, the faith, the conviction, and He also provides the result. Sataya shariya yuktasta saradanam ihate labate tatakaman mamai bavahitan hitan. And so they get the result, but this actually comes from Krishna. He's directing everything. Antavat tu palam tesham. Those who are, they're desirous for, their minds are set for temporary things. This palam, this fruit that is perishable. Antavat tu palam tesham tadbhavati alpamedasam. He says their intelligence is quite meager. Alpamedasam. The meda, the brain substance, is very small. Deva deva yojo yanti. And thus they are directed to a path to satisfy such desires. Deva deva yojo yanti mad bhakti yantim amapi. But my devotees, they come to me, they worship me. And similarly, avyakta vyakta papa namanyate mama buddhya. Those who say I was impersonal and I'm now personal, but I'm ultimately impersonal. I'm avyaktat. Avyakta vyakta papa namanyate mamam buddhya param bhavaman jananto mama bhuta maheshwaram. He says they're abhudaya. They're not even small brain. They have abhudaya, no intelligence. But He is directing everyone. As we hear, what is that verse? This line, you find it. It's at the end of one verse, but it's also another verse. Does anybody know what I'm talking about? Everyone follows my path in all respects. That is, who knows? Help me out. So it's a verse wherein Krishna is saying that actually the whole path of one's spiritual journey is being directed by the Lord. So I believe it was Valeri Vidyabhushan. He describes this progression. So one can be just an ordinary materialist. Not an ordinary materialist. One can be a sinful personality who just does all kinds of horrible deeds just to get whatever he wants. You know, he may perform so many different sinful deeds, and and try to enjoy, but that person ultimately, he wastes everything away. Like we have this story, this is a Amarendra Prabhu. He tells this story. All of them surrender to me. I reward them. 411. Does anybody know the Sanskrit of that one? 411. That's Nehabhrikam? No. Is it? Yeah, Nehabhrikam Nashasti Pratavayo Navidite. No. What's the Sanskrit for that verse? So Amarendra Prabhu, he tells this nice story of 4 brothers. They were given 5 seeds by their father. And their father, he says, I'm going to come back in 5 years. And I'm going to ask for these seeds. For the first brother, he perceives that, okay, my dad I think he's going a little crazy. So he just throws it away. Then the second one, he says, okay, I think he's a little crazy, but I'm just going to use these seeds. I'm going to eat them. And so he eats his seeds. The third brother, he said, okay, I'm going to follow my father's instruction very nicely. And so he put the seeds in a nice little cloth bag. And then 5 years came. Father asked for the seeds, and the son said, oh, yes, I have them for you. But the fourth brother, when the father came back, he said, you will need a truck because I've planted those seeds and now there's so many. And so the father was trying to decide how to divvy up the estate, how to continue the inheritance and the family business and everything. He said, okay, so the brother who threw it away, okay, you can't take any responsibility for anything. You can just clean the house. For the second brother, he said, okay, you like to enjoy, you can be the cook, because never trust a skinny cook. And for the third brother, he said, oh, you saved it, you can take care of the finances. And then the fourth brother, he said, you will be the head, you will lead the family. And so these 5 seeds represent 5 things. You have your body and mind, you have your talents, resources, and assets, you have your relationships, you have your responsibilities, and then you have the wisdom texts. And so going back to this progression, you can have somebody who waste everything. They waste their body and mind. They waste their relationships. They waste their talents and resources. They waste their they don't take responsibilities, and they waste away the wisdom text. They don't take advantage of it. So that is considered like those who are outside of the varnashram. They're just not caring to follow these principles that lead to progression. And then the next level is somebody is like a karma kandi. They want to enjoy, but they're going to take advantage of those seeds. So you have someone who is going to follow various religious principles, but they're going to do it in such a way that with the opportunity to enjoy in their next life. And so I believe it was Baladev Vidyabhushan or maybe Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, but they're describing this in their commentary, the Bhagavad Gita, that the person in the beginning may worship various demigods. They may do different pious activities, digging wells, building hospitals. They may do all these nice things so that they can get some good karma in this life. And due to the association of the sadhus, the association of the sastra, the association of the gurus, they begin to learn, well, no, why should you do this meager yajna to enjoy material results in this life when you can enjoy great sensual enjoyment in your next life? And so they become interested in performing more involved forms of piety with the goal of enjoying in their next life. But as Krishna says in chapter 9, text 21, Trividyamam soma vaputa papa yagyer swagatam yagyer swagatam prapadyante. Titam bhukva swagatam vishalam. That one's rusty. That one's very rusty. They're basically, there's a verse saying that they follow the path of Trivedya, the three Vedas. Trivedya Papa Swagatam Papa. Te Punyam Ashadra Sharenda Lokan Ashnanti Divyan Divi Deva Bogan. And what are they doing that for? To Ashnanti Divyan Divi Deva Bogan, to enjoy these celestial delights. And they tambukva swagatam vishalam shine punye martyalokam bashanti. But when their credit runs out, they when their credit card runs out, when the piety runs out, if you go to heavenly planets, you can't stay there. Your money runs out. Your piety runs out. Shine punye martyalokam vishanti. When it's finished, you vishanti, you fall. When your punya is finished. And so like if you're going on a cruise, sometimes there's a lot of ads for Disney cruise, that cruise. There probably is not as nice as it looks in the ad. Maybe people, there's a lot of seasickness and dirty bathrooms and all kinds of festering sickness that's going around because you're all stuck on a boat. But say, even if it was nice, you can't stay there, because eventually you're not really making money. You're only spending money there. It's all running out. So Vishantine punye martyalokam vishanti. You come back, a lot of drunk people on cruises. You come back, martyalokam vishanti. You fall back into this earthly realm, this realm of death, martyaloka, meaning people live very short lives. They live like a maximum 100 years. And so the person will do these pious activities to enjoy in their next life. That's a higher stage. But because they're hearing from the sastra, they're hearing from the gurus, they're hearing from the sadhus, they're hearing next life. And they're also here. So there's some knowledge that is gained there. And they're also hearing, oh my God, Indra, he is the king of enjoying in the next life, and he is facing so much troubles. You're hearing that even in the higher planets, there are all kinds of troubles. Actually, 11th canto gives one clear reason why the higher planets are full of troubles, because you got to bring your mind with you. You may be enjoying, like, for example, say you're a multi-billionaire and there's somebody who is, has, 40 billion, you only have 2, and you see that person, and then you suffer out of animosity, out of envy. So in the heavenly planets, there is such suffering, envy, pride, all these things. The mind accompanies you as you go to the heavenly planets. So you have all these nice enjoyment, but there's that suffering of the contaminated mind. So such a person then gradually progresses to be interested in not the Karma Kanda section of the Vedas, but the Jnana Kanda section. So the Jnana Kanda section of the Vedas is wherein there's a rejection of the materialistic performance of sacrifices and piety and yagyas to enjoy, but rather to achieve some kind of salvation, achieve moksha. You find in every religious tradition, you have people that are motivated on the bottom level for material things, maybe even lower due to fear, as Bhaktivinoda Thakur describes 4 types of people who approach a spiritual practice. On the bottom, you have those who are motivated by fear. Then you have those who are motivated by some kind of enjoyment. Then you have those who are motivated by some kind of duty. And then you have those who are motivated by actual attachment. So similarly, there are those who are motivated by the sense of freedom from suffering, not enjoying material things, but the freedom of suffering. So they may want to go to heaven. They may want nirvana. They might want moksha. So they're motivated in their spiritual life and their religious activities to stop all suffering. And that's a much rarer case. And if they're fortunate to hear from the sadhus, the sastra, the sangha, then they may have association with the devotees of the Lord and come to this upasana kanda where they begin to realize the benefit of connecting to the Lord and engaging in his devotional service. Let's see. So there are all these different Vedic literatures, and they have all these different paths because people have different mindsets. And so as we hear, what does it say in the, you have manifested yourself in the Vedic literatures, encouraging sense gratification, as well as in those encouraging renunciation of the material world. And then also in the previous verse, it's talking about how you're the one that's sanctioning, opposing views of different philosophies, who are the power of upholding expressed ideas and the words expressed in them. And so Krishna, even the functioning of the mind, those sarvascha as we hear in chapter 15, all these are actually provided by the Lord, as we, where does it say in the purport? It says the potencies, perception, cognition, evidence, or is it perception, cognition, persuasion, and transmission? So there's 4 there. They may possibly be related to the Chaturvyuha, the 4 Sankarshan, Praduma, Aniruddha, and Vasudeva. I'm not sure, but I know that they have a connection to how the functionings of the mind. Like one is the ego, one is the mind, one is the intelligence, one is consciousness. So in this verse, this last verse, there in the Vedanta Sutra, there are various verses that are related to different verses in the Bhagavatam. And so the third verse in Vedanta Sutra is related to that verse. So third verse in Vedanta Sutra is Sastra Yonitvat, means that let's see. Shastra Yonitvat. The Lord cannot be known by reasoning, because he is the source of understand. Because the source of understanding the Lord is the Shastra, the Upanishads. And so, one example is like if we want to know what's happening in Japan, we can get onto the roof of Bhakti Center, and we can take our telescope and see if we can see anything about Japan, maybe, but we won't. By the extension of our senses, we won't learn anything. We could, get out a microphone, try to hear Japan from here, telescope. It won't happen from the extension of the senses. We actually have to have information passed down to us. So we have to get some news source from Japan, meet a Japanese person. It has to come from that end to our end. If we're inside some box and it's a soundproof box, if we want to know what's happening outside, then some line of information has to come in through there. Like I think I gave this example of the potato loving Idahoan. He's in Idaho and he loves potatoes, and he says people in Japan love potatoes. And then an opposing person says, no, you are potato-pomorphizing Japanese people. People in Japan hate potatoes. And so they're both just coming with various speculations. But to actually find out, you got to get knowledge from the source. And then you have to get that testimony, and then you can humbly test it. As Prabhupada says, in both blind, he says in 434 of Bhagavad Gita, both blind following and absurd inquiries are condemned. So what is that? Blind. You have your kind of atheistic view where you blindly reject, blind doubt. And then you have the religious fanaticism, blind faith. And so what is the difference? Your blind faith is when you have an answer, but you don't want any questions. You have your answer. You don't have any question. You don't want any questions. So you have your testimony, but you don't want any kind of test towards it. And then the opposite is blind doubt. You have questions, but you don't want any answer. Like you just want to reject the answer. Only I'm going to throw questions at you, but I'm not in the space to actually. I'm not seeking any kind of answer. So both blind faith and absurd inquiries. That's what it means by absurd inquiries, where you have questions, but you're not seeking answers. So blind faith and blind doubt. So this sastra is understood to be that source by which one can, it's a testimony by which one can test. Does it actually produce its said result? You know, if we get some information from that's supposedly from Japan, and it's a giant lizard knocking down buildings, blowing blue fire, now we may employ that intelligence. Say, okay, is this reasonable? Does this have any practical application? For example, Sastra will say that Krishna and his name are non-different, and one can test it and get a reasonable experience that there's something special in Krishna's name. There's some direct experience that one gets. Just like if you put food in your mouth, there's a direct experience. You don't have to believe it. Your hunger will go away. You will taste something and you'll get some energy. So similarly, if you chant Krishna with your mouth, you will get some experience of a taste for Krishna, and you will get experience of awareness that is compared to nutrition, and you'll find that your material hunger starts to reduce. So these are the different ways one can test the testimony. So today is the Transcendental Appearance Day of Srila Narottama Das Thakur. Narottama Das Thakur ki jai. And so Narottama Das Thakur was not a contemporary of Lord Chaitanya. He came after Lord Chaitanya. Can you imagine if you came, if you took birth after the Supreme Personality of Godhead was walking the planet? So we may not even be able to imagine the turmoil Narottama Das Thakur felt, especially in his youth. He was so when he was born, his parents, his father was a king, Krishnananda Pat, I believe. He was a king. He was, and his wife. What was his? Let me see if I see his wife. It was with a V something. Keturi. That's their place. Narayani. And so they really wanted a child, and they were getting quite old, and it didn't seem like there was any chance of them ever having a child. But there were various predictions that started to come. They heard 3 different predictions. The last one was an astrologer. The first one was a voice he heard. And the second one was, I think it was a sadhu. And so they had this beautiful child. He had lotus-petaled eyes. And when he was young, his father was always hosting the Vaishnava pilgrims, and he just wanted to hear all of Krishna's pastimes. And when he was born, an astrologer said he should stay away from bodies of water. He should stay away from the river, especially. It's dangerous for him. Stay away from rivers. And so the parents would not really let him out of the palace. He would stay in the palace, and sometimes his friends would go play in the river. He was not allowed. And so he grew up in this palace. And as he grows up, he begins to learn more about Lord Chaitanya and his associates. And this great longing is there. Just imagine like these different associates, and they're also some of the associates of Lord Chaitanya, they're also leaving. The 6 Goswamis, they're also leaving. So this is causing so much longing, so much anxiety for Narottama Das Thakur. And so one day he has this dream, and Lord Nityananda appears to him in a dream. Because if you remember, you might have heard the pastime when Lord Chaitanya one day he was dancing in kirtan, and then he went utterly mad in ecstasy. And he started chanting out, Narottam, Narottam. And everyone's saying, who? Narottam? Who's Narottam? We don't know any Narottam. Who is this? He said, he will actually carry on this mission. I will deposit all the prema, all the love of Krishna into the Padmavati river, and that will be given to Narottam to carry on, because this is a mission of carrying this product of love and distributing it to others. And so I'll have this bank deposit. I will give it to have Padmavati river hold it, and when Narottama goes to that river, that will be transmitted to him. And so Lord Chaitanya, he entered that river, and the waves went wild and mad. And the goddess appeared and said, what can I do for you? I said, I want you to take this prema and give it to my devotee Narottama. He says, how will I recognize him? Well, he is very blackish like Krishna. And when he enters your water, your waters will go wild. And she said, and he is full of love of God. He said, well, how, if he's already full, how will he accept this? He's just like, too much already, overdose. And he said, no, he can handle it. And so Lord Nityananda appeared to Narottama in a dream and said, you must go to the river. And I believe, I read the book like 2 years ago, so it's a little, or maybe last year. And so he was like locked in his room because his parents were worried. And so he stacked his furniture up, and he climbed up on top of the furniture, and he escaped out the window. And he ran to the river. And there, he went into the river, and the waters went wild. And this goddess appeared, and the goddess was holding out a golden lotus. And then that golden lotus turned into a golden child. And the golden child was dancing. And the golden child danced right into his heart. And then Narottama went mad. And so he was screaming and yelling. His body was full of the horripilations, and his skin was stretching out, and he was rolling and rolling, and he's saying, that golden boy, my body entered. That golden boy, my body entered. And he's rolling and rolling, and then some soldiers who were, in the morning, they noticed that he was gone, so they're scrambling around the palace looking for him. And somebody saw a young man that was wearing the clothes of Narottama Das Thakur and his ornaments, but his complexion was different, because Narottama had a dark complexion, and this boy had a very golden-like complexion. Very, very like the yellow, like one of those kadamba flowers. And they realized it is Narottama. Somehow his skin has changed color, and so he is rolling in ecstasy. He's yelling out, that golden boy, my body entered. And so they're like, quick, call an exorcist. And so they get an exorcist, And he said, no, he examines him. He said, oh, there is no ghost. There's no Brahma Rakshasa or anything like that. I think he is just a little crazy. Somehow he went crazy, but there's no ghost involved. He said, what you can do is you can go out and kill a jackal and make oil and then rub it on his belly. And Narottama, he's trying to contain himself, and he's trying to speak to his family, but he's still in this ecstasy. And he said, you don't understand. This is Krishna Prema. And he's saying, don't go kill a poor jackal. Don't do this nonsense. And so from then on, they really wanted to contain him, and so he was under intense supervision. And there was, although Krishnanandana was a king, there was more of like an emperor, a greater king of the land, which was a Islamic emperor. And he had heard about this boy, and he wanted to see him. He was curious. And so Narottama Das Thakur was obliged to go see him. And so the parents were extremely worried. So they sent like a retinue of soldiers, and they had like a horse carriage or some kind of traveling troop to go together, and they would camp one place and then go to the next place and the next place. And one night, Narottama, he snuck out because he had such a strong desire to go to Vrindavan and not lose all the he really wanted to be in the association of all these great devotees, many of whom were leaving. So this is like one this is one little section of the book. He says, yes, Pita. This is a book by, I think it is, what's her name? She speaks so nicely on Narottama Das Thakur. She has this book about book. Sitala Devi, The Glorious Life of Srila Narottama Das Thakur. So he says, yes, Pita, what you may say may be true, but I am not content simply following family traditions and rituals. I don't want to live comfortable, pious life of sense enjoyment. That is only a skeleton of our religion. There's no soul in it. Without elevation to Krishna consciousness, the mercy of Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, life is simply spoiled in the animal propensities of sense gratification. I want to dedicate my entire life to the mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. I want to give myself completely to him, mind, body, and words. To me, that is the only real life. Everything else is death. That's very similar to his song we might have sung a few days ago. Nitai Pada Kamala. This is a sung by Narottama Das Thakur. And so he escaped during the night, and he ran and ran and ran, like if you've seen the movie Forrest Gump, like that. It's described that he just ran without stopping at all, completely just sprinting through the forest, running, and running. He is a young prince. He is not. He doesn't have the hard ascetic body, but he's just running to the point where he just collapses. No energy, no vitality. And again, Lord Nityananda appears to him in a dream and tells him, I have this pot of nectar. Drink it and you will be fully energized. And he opens his eyes and he sees a pot, and then he falls unconscious again. And then he couldn't, his muscles were all fatigued, everything. And then he opens his eyes and he drinks it, and he's fully revived. And again, he starts running. But by this time, the king had sent soldiers everywhere looking for him. So at one point, they found him, and they and he spoke with them, and in his speaking, he convinced them that there's no way you can, you're not going to be able to restrain me. I will not. I will always look. And what is the piety of your action? My heart is sold to Krishna. I must go. I must go. And so in this way, he was able to get to Vrindavan. Yes, I think we're finished time. Yeah.
It was like a movie, Nityananda Chandra Prabhu.
Oh, the book's great. It's a great book.
Everybody's appreciating your excitement about Narottama Das Thakur and your presentation. So fun. Domi, you have a question?
Yeah, Satyananda Maharaj tells this story, and he says, Lord Chaitanya, with his mystical power, he gave this ecstatic love of God to Narottama Das Thakur. And he said, so how do we get it? Do we go to the river? Or where do we get it? And then he said, well, Narottama Das Thakur deposited this ecstasy in his songs. So when we sing, Shri Guru Charana Padma, when we sing the songs of Narottama Das Thakur, we are blessed with the empowerment of the love, of the ecstasy of love of Krishna. At least that's what Nityananda Maharaj told us. Interesting to know that it's available, right?
Yeah, for us, the golden boy is deposited with Adipurusha Prabhu's songs in the morning.
Not my songs.
Maybe you're the golden boy.
Songs from Narottama Das Thakur. Hare Krishna.
Nice.
So we should sing them. We should sing them. Why not?
Yeah.
And when we hear Nityananda Chandra's class, we realize this is a real devotee. This is somebody who's so versed in Shastra. How can we get his association? How can we serve him? How can we, take shelter of him and be instructed by him and guided by his wonderful wisdom that he's imbued?
Yeah,
Fantastic.
Totally.
Fantastic class. Fantastic.
What other songs did Narottama Das Thakur write? Question from Andrea.
It's a whole book. What's it? What'd you say, Korsharan? We can't hear you. Vrindavan. We heard the first word. Harihaya Nama Krishna.
Oh yeah, okay, that one. All right.
Nityananda Chandra knows the name of the book. It has all his Narottama Das
Prarthana.
How do we know the tunes? Did he write the tunes or just poetry?
Well, no. Narottama Das Thakur also created a style of kirtan. He created his own style of kirtan in Keturi. He also did like the first like massive Lord Chaitanya's Gaur Purnima festival, wherein actually Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda reappeared in the world at that festival, and they had he engaged everybody's in. He had installed deities of Radha and Krishna and also Lord Chaitanya, and so his style of kirtan, that Gaudiya kirtan, or even like an ISKCON, there it's explosive. It's not like sometimes you go to like a Hindu temple and it's just kind of a monotone. It's like Prabhupada would go go up and up and up and up and up and up. It's got this like kind of like it has a little bit more drama to it, more it's there's certain qualities. So he has a particular type of kirtan. I don't know. There's a lot. There's kind of two different main kirtan styles. I don't know too much, but I know that he created his own style in Keturi.
Yeah, thank you. And that first Gaur Purnima festival, is that the one that Lord Nityananda's wife helped with?
Yes.
Janava Devi?
Yeah.
Nice.
The deities are about to open any second, so we hope we'll see you on Monday night. Nityananda Chandra.
Nice. Yeah, there's that nice bhajan. We've heard some really good recordings of this. Radha Krishna Prana Mora Yugala Kishore. That's another one. Narottama, that's Thakur. Isn't Tulsi one of the what other songs? There's so many. Radha Krishna Prana
Bhima has
Mora.
his hand up. Oh wait, and looks like he walked away from the camera.
Bhima Prabhu, run back in.
Hey, Hadi. Wonderful class. I actually missed the first part of it, but I will go back on YouTube. Can you hear me, by the way? Can everybody hear me?
Yes, yes.
Nityananda, Haribol Prabhu, how are you doing?
Very good.
Nice to see you again. I want everyone to know that Nityananda Chandra is not just a full-fledged Vaishnav when he's giving a class. We were sitting in a meeting with some very big real estate hitters, and I'm talking big. They asked the question after about 45 minutes of talking about this and that, and Nityananda Chandra was very silent, just listening. And they asked the question, so what kind of building are you looking for? How many rooms do you want? 20 rooms? Do you want 50 rooms? Do you want 100 rooms? Like, where's your cap? What do you think you can handle? And Nityananda Chandra said, well, what I'm looking for is enough rooms that at least one of them will be open so that I can have kirtan twice a week. So that was one of the first things he said. They were asking him how large of a building they could help him possibly secure for a future project. And Nityananda's answer was to say, I want to make sure that kirtan would be one of the offerings. So I thought I was very much taken aback by that answer, being asked by these type of people. And but at the same time, it was very endearing. So that's all I had to say. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, this is a Vaishnava. This is a Vaishnava. Okay, darshan time. Camera's on if you can. Let Krishna see you. Adipusha Prabhu, thank you very much. It was a very good quality darshan. No shaking. We saw the pujaris. Gaurashan Prabhu, Hare Krishna. Okay. All right. So that was it, dear devotees, for today. Thank you very much. Narottam Das Thakur ki jai. Nityananda Chandra Prabhu ki jai. Great class. You are a very qualified speaker and narrator. Thank you, Navneet, for putting this on in the chat. Thank you very much. And it was nice seeing you all. Andrea Draupadi, William and his Christmas tree and his family, Navneet, Bhima Prabhu, Adi, Domi, Amrita Kishori, Didi, William G, Yogeshwari, Suzanne, Dana Krishna's Radharani, Pink Yogi of Harlem, Angel. Thank you very much. Preeti, oh, Prema, is that Prema? I keep messing it up. Prema. Yeah. Prema is giving you
Their
Prema.
names are very similar, so it's easy to confuse them. Yes, this is Prema.
Prema, Hare Krishna.
And Priya's the blurry one in the back.
Priya, the blurry. Yeah, I see her. Great. Okay, any reflections, any final comments?
I said it in the chat, but I just want to say it again that I really, really appreciate Nityananda Chandra's enthusiasm. And I've heard him tell those stories before, but each time I get excited to hear the stories again. So I really appreciate that, especially for someone that loves stories, is just to have them told by someone who is so enthusiastic, and you can feel the Krishna prema when he's telling them. It's really appreciated.
Yeah. Nityananda Chandra Prabhu is real. He's enjoying them like anything. I was thinking, I don't know if it's philosophically correct, but we have the Aindra Prabhu, our own Narottama Das Thakur, like contemporary Narottama Das Thakur. He developed his own dynamic style of kirtan.
Oh, yeah.
His complexion was golden. So maybe that golden boy entered Aindra Prabhu also. I'm not sure if it's okay to say like that, but I was thinking of Aindra Prabhu. He inspired so many devotees. Yeah, Aindra. Yeah.
Actually, I also want to say something. That's Nityananda Chandra. When I first saw him, so he just has the resemblance, little bit resemblance of Andrew Prabhu. And I was feeling that during the lecture when I was seeing his face, and so all resembling like of Andrew Prabhu.
Yeah.
So,
I would like
so
to, Haribo. I would like to make a suggestion if people don't already have Ayendra Prabhu's albums. There's this one album that I listen to literally all day long, and I have it in my headphones in the nighttime. And this is, I have to say, next to Prabhupada chanting, this is one of the most mesmerizing. I mean, it just goes on for hours. There's just unbelievable amount of kirtans, but there are certain kirtans in there that are truly mystical, that just make you, I don't know, they're very moving, very moving. Sorry. So let me see if I can look real quick. Let me look real quick.
If you know the name of it, Prabhu, then I can try Googling it.
Okay, here it is. Hold on. It's oh geez. Here it is. Voice, Ayendra Das, Voice of Raj. Voice of Raj. You can get
Voice
it
of Raj.
on iTunes. It's
Mm.
incredible. It is. Listen to every song. They're a wonderful song, but there are points where you will just the music and his singing, and especially all the people following him, will raise your faith. Your faith will get even stronger hearing this kirtan. Like, you literally will hear one of these kirtans and your heart will grow larger, will create a larger room for Krishna consciousness. And I'll take care of it. So yeah. So
are you talking to Ram? He speaks English?
No, I'm speaking to someone who treats me like a dog. Yeah, Voice of Raj. I cannot express how much that everyone should have this. It's actually very affordable. I think it's like $9.99, but you got literally 8 to 10 hours of kirtans, and these are the most rocking kirtans that you'll ever hear. And like I said, it's good for your spiritual life. If anybody knows the history of Ayendra Prabhu, or just the whole story behind him and the 24-hour kirtan and Vrindavan, you will understand that he was a true Babaji of the holy name. And Jayananda, Nityananda, when he said that, I just want a room to have kirtan in. I just want a place that I can have kirtan in. That's his main point. The top priority is to have a place to have kirtan for the guests. And that reminded me of the priority that Ayendra Prabhu always put on kirtan over everything. Chanting of the holy name over everything, over book distribution, over temple building, over preaching, over everything was kirtan, kirtan, kirtan. So in the spirit of Narottama Das Thakur and songwriting and singing about Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Vima Prabhu. Hare Purusha Prabhu. Do you have anything to say?
Well, of course, we emphasize kirtan, but there's no problem having both deity worship, kirtan, prasad distribution, everything, not just, it only has to be this. Of course, we do feel like that. Everyone, when you have the Father's Day card, you go to the shop and it says world's greatest father. But then if you take that card behind it, there's another one that says world's greatest father. So everyone should feel like that about, there's nobody like my spiritual master. There's nobody, but everyone, that's the sentiment of a disciple. That's the sentiment of a person who has a prescribed duty, that this is what I must do. But we should always think that, but what I just do this because, like Lord Chaitanya said, my spiritual master said I'm a fool, so you should just chant Hare Krishna. So we think everyone else's service is better than mine, right? Isn't it? But it is, that's exactly how he felt. I've got to do kirtan. This must be a priority like life's breath. But everyone should feel like that about their service and think, but my service is very insignificant compared to what this other devotee is doing. Isn't it? As far as I know, that's what I heard from my guru.
Yeah, and Prabhupada was like that. He was very encouraging to pujaris, book distributors, kirtan leaders, managers. He was always very encouraging.
Farms,
Farms, yeah.
Every place Prabhupada went, he said, these are the most beautiful deities in the world. But he said that everywhere.
All right. So thank you very much again. Narottama Das Thakur ki jai, Ayendra Prabhu ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nityananda Chandra Prabhu ki jai, our spiritual masters ki jai. Thank you very much, dear devotees. Have a wonderful day. Play that Voice of Raj kirtan in the car, in the apartment, on the farm, wherever you are. And it's when I first heard Daindra, I was like, what is this? This is like psychedelic, but it's also bhakti. I was like, wow, nice. So yeah, thank you very much. Old school devotee way. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.